Today's news highlights 20250627. Date June 27, 2025. June 27, 114 of the Republic of China. News highlights: Taichung Agricultural Improvement Farm successfully cultivated a new variety of Echinacea Taichung No. 1, which has the advantages of high yield, heat resistance, and low cost, and cooperated with the Weifeng District Farmers Association to launch Echinacea tea. Echinacea is rich in polysaccharides and phenolic acids, which have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects, and are suitable for daily health care. Weifeng Farmers Association launched Echinacea Mint Tea and Echinacea Ginseng Tea, which are decough and stress-relieving. However, patients with immune diseases, pregnant women, infants, and young children should avoid it. News highlights: a 50-year-old man who has an exercise habit and does not smoke was diagnosed with stage 3 pancreatic cancer because he loved to drink high-sugar drinks for a long time. Doctors pointed out that pancreatic cancer is less than 5% related to genetics, and it is more related to lifestyle habits such as high-sugar diet, blood sugar out of control, and alcoholism. Excessive sugar intake may lead to chronic diseases such as obesity, diabetes, fatty liver disease, and even increase the risk of cancer. Experts warn that a balanced diet, weight control, and regular health check UPS are the keys to prevention. News highlights: affected by the market's expectation of a U.S. interest rate cut, the new Taiwan dollar rose strongly to 29.165 yuan against the U.S. dollar on the 26th, hitting a new high in more than 3 years. Zhuang Dali, chairman of the Machinery Association, pointed out that the soaring exchange rate has led to a decline in the export competitiveness of the machinery industry, and it is even rumored that some manufacturers have suspended orders and may take unpaid leave. The life insurance industry was also hit hard, with a monthly loss of more than 100 billion yuan in May, the worst in history. Experts reminded to observe the performance of the stock exchange rate and the progress of the U.S. trade negotiations, and the strength of the Taiwan dollar is likely to continue. News highlights: heavy rains in China's Guizhou province have hit China in recent days, causing massive flooding, and more than 80,000 people have been evacuated. In Rongjiang County, the hardest hit area, the river water has swelled sharply, the infrastructure has been damaged, and 6 people are known to have died. Authorities warn that there will still be heavy rainfall in the future, which may trigger secondary disasters such as flash floods and landslides. The flood flow is a rare record, and the disaster is severe, and the actual casualties and losses may not be fully grasped. News highlights: the Federal Reserve, Fed, announced on June 25 that it intends to relax the Enhanced Supplementary Leverage Ratio, ESLR, requirements for large banks, which is expected to release more than $200 billion of capital to improve liquidity in the U.S. Treasury market. The adjustment lowered the capital ratio of large banks from 5% 6% to 3.5% 4.5%, causing internal divisions. Proponents believe that it will help stabilize the market and improve capital efficiency, while opponents are concerned about the risk of increasing the capital threshold by lowering the capital threshold. The proposal will enter a 60-day public comment period and is subject to further discussion and finalization. News highlights: in 2025, Taiwan's housing market will enter a period of correction and consolidation, and due to the impact of policy tightening and market wait-and-see, it will show a stable pattern of volume shrinkage and price reduction. The price of egg yolk area remained stable, and the bargaining space between the egg white area and the rezoning area expanded. The pressure on the pre-sale property market has emerged, and buyers have a bargaining advantage. First-time buyers who just need to benefit from the low interest rate of the new Ching-in loan, which is suitable for entering the market, buyers are advised to sell before you buy. Long-term investors can lock in the core area. Short-term property speculation and financial pressure should be cautious. Overall, market opportunities and risks coexist, and choice and timing are key. News highlights: Taiwan's housing policy should be reviewed every 10 years, setting a housing vision for the next 10 years, emphasizing the realization of housing for all under housing justice. At present, the resources of the rent subsidy policy are misplaced, and most of the subsidies for non-disadvantaged families need to be re-examined and given priority to the disadvantaged. Housing policies should integrate social housing, lease escrow, rent subsidies, and preferential housing loans, and give priority to improving the rental market to improve information opacity and rental safety. In addition, we will improve the quality of housing, strengthen the inspection of old housing and community management, improve the housing tax system and financial policies, and use AI to enhance the transparency and effectiveness of policies, so as to promote equity and sustainable development of housing. News highlights: the Taipei National Taxation Bureau reminds that if the annual overseas income exceeds 1 million yuan and the basic income exceeds 7.5 million yuan, the basic tax amount must be declared and paid. Overseas income will not be automatically included in the income list, and taxpayers need to take the initiative to declare. Common mistakes include wrongly crediting overseas income with losses of different years or types, which may result in back taxes and penalties. Even if it is not repatriated to the island, it must still be declared as long as it is in the nature of income. If there has been an omission, you can take the initiative to make up the report before it is checked to avoid penalty. The deadline for declaration is June 30th, so be sure to carefully review the content of the declaration. News highlights: the Taichung MRT Blue Line officially started construction and is expected to be completed in the 123rd year of the Republic of China, with a total length of 24.78 kilometers and 20 stations, with a total cost of about 161.5 billion yuan. The Blue Line will run from Taichung, Hong Kong to Xinjiang Market in the Eastern District, and intersect with the Green Line at Shifu Station to form the MRT Golden Cross. Mayor Liu Zhihuan said that after the launch of the Blue Line, the 7 lines together will be promoted to accelerate the formation of the MRT road network and make up for the gap in transportation development in the central region. The project adopts a hybrid design of elevated and underground, and strengthens the transfer system and weather-resistant structure to improve safety and convenience. News highlights: at NVIDIA's shareholder meeting on the 25th, CEO Jensen Huang emphasized that the demand for AI is still strong, and pointed out that the upgrade of AI infrastructure has just begun, and the future of billions of robots, hundreds of millions of self-driving cars and hundreds of thousands of robot factories will be driven by NVIDIA technology. Huang is optimistic about the trillion-dollar growth opportunities in AI and robotics and positions NVIDIA as an AI infrastructure and computing platform provider. TSMC Chairman Wei Zhijia and major co-workers such as Han Hai and Wistron also stated that AI orders continue to grow, and production capacity has become a challenge, with an optimistic outlook. News highlights: the exchange rate of the new Taiwan dollar continued to soar, which seriously affected the competitiveness and profitability of Taiwan's machinery industry. Zhuang Dali, chairman of the Machinery Association, said that the high exchange rate caused manufacturers to suspend orders, which may trigger a wave of unpaid leave, layoffs, and closures. Industry players are worried that if the exchange rate rises above $28 or even $30, it will seriously weaken Taiwan's market share and competitiveness in the global market. Although the central bank believes that exports and imports can be offset, the industry does not feel relief. A number of industry leaders called on the government to pay attention to the exchange rate issue to avoid a greater impact on the industry. News highlights: the Trump administration's big tax cut bill is expected to break through before July 4, which may exacerbate the U.S. fiscal deficit and trigger market concerns about the sell-off of U.S. bonds. In May, as the yield on 20-year U.S. bonds exceeded 5%, Taiwanese investors saw a wave of redemptions of U.S. bond ETFs, and U.S. dollar funds were converted into new Taiwan dollars, pushing up the exchange rate of new Taiwan dollars. This year, the new Taiwan dollar has appreciated by more than 12%, and at the end of May, it exceeded the 30 yuan level. Moody's, an international credit rating agency, downgraded the U.S. credit rating, adding to market uncertainty, and if the bill passes, it may trigger a new wave of U.S. bond ETF sell-offs, which will continue to push the NTD stronger. News highlights: Micron's earnings last quarter were better than expected, with revenue of $9.3 billion, up 37% year-on-year, data center business more than doubled, and HBM's high-bandwidth memory grew by nearly 50% quarter-on-quarter, driving gross margin to 39%. The revenue outlook for the quarter is record-breaking, with an estimate of about $10.7 billion, up 38% year-on-year, and gross margin rising to 42%. Micron is aggressively expanding production with a capital expenditure of $2.66 billion, mainly investing in HBM products for AI applications, and is expected to spend up to $14 billion in fiscal year 2025. Taiwan's memory factories Nanyang and Winbond have also benefited from the growth in AI demand, and the market prospects are promising. News highlights: in recent years, Taiwanese travel to South Korea has become more popular, and in addition to the attractive air ticket prices compared to Japan, K-pop, Korean dramas, food, and other Hallyu culture have also driven the MZ generation to actively visit. In 2024, the number of Taiwanese tourists visiting South Korea will exceed 1.47 million, an increase of 17% compared with the pre-epidemic period. The tourist destinations have also expanded to Busan, Suwon, Jeju Island, and other places, especially in the field of performance tourism, surpassing China and Japan, ranking first in the world, demonstrating the high popularity and diverse attraction of South Korea in the Taiwan tourism market. News highlights: the Golden Melody Award shortlisted band Myzia Group broke out a few days ago. Guitarist Xiu Qi suddenly announced his withdrawal from the group last month, and the lead singer Go Bai accused him of 7 evil deeds, which attracted attention. Myzia Group officially announced its withdrawal from the group late last night, frankly admitting that the members had different ideas and unsuccessful communication, and decided to part ways. Xiu Qi posted a response in his personal community, unwilling to refute them one by one, emphasizing that leaving is to stop the trouble, looking forward to saying goodbye to old friends peacefully, and the orchestra will continue to move forward with a new lineup in the future. News highlights: Taichung last night, 26th, due to the influence of cold hard low pressure, the convection was strong in the afternoon, and the Central Meteorological Administration issued a special report on heavy thunderstorms and heavy rain for many counties and cities in central China, and Taichung urban area was hit by heavy rain. Among them, the well-known Dry Creek night market was suddenly swept by a violent storm at night, and the people at the scene fled in panic, and the stall vendors hurriedly held umbrellas to save themselves, but it was still difficult to withstand the wind and rain, and many stalls were forced to close their stalls in advance. News highlights fashion legend 75-year-old Anna Wintour announced that she has stepped down from Vogue in the United States after 37 years. The position of editor-in-chief marks the end of an era. During her tenure, she successfully transformed the Vogue, breaking the traditional fashion framework and making the Met Gala the world's most eye-catching fashion event. Although she is no longer the editor-in-chief, she will continue to serve as the global content director of Condé Nast and the Vogue global editorial director. This change is a major turning point for the fashion press, and the new successor is in the spotlight. News highlights at about 3 o'clock in the morning today, 27th, at 177.5 kilometers of the southbound Taichung section of National Highway No. 1, a pedestrian was walking in the inner lane for unknown reasons, first hit by a small truck, and then run over by a small passenger car, and died on the spot. The National Highway Police said that neither driver was drunk driving, and the detailed cause of the accident is still to be investigated and clarified. News highlights: the Chinese professional baseball team lost 3-4 to the Taigong Eagles last night, suffering 3 consecutive defeats, and the record is tied for first place with the Sidic brothers, and the championship competition in the first half of the season is fierce. Although Thai Steel's first foreign investment was knocked out of 12 hits, it still only lost 3 points, winning its 7th win of the season, and its 17-game winning streak across the season is close to the league record. Lions star Chen Zhixian cancelled his trip to the United States for the championship, and his performance was mediocre yesterday and failed to help the team stop the defeat. News highlights: due to the Japanese manga The Future IC predicted a major earthquake on July 5, many Taiwanese people chose to cancel their trips to Japan, causing the tourism industry in Kanazawa City, Ishikawa Prefecture, to suffer. The occupancy rate of the local Anna Hotel plummeted to 50% on July 5, and the hotel operators lamented the heavy losses. Taiwanese tourists are the largest source of tourists in Kanazawa, and Yi Qingmiao believes that most people are only postponing their trips, and they are expected to return in the future. News highlights: NASA's Artemis program relies on SpaceX for space missions, with Draco being the only spacecraft capable of carrying people to and from the International Space Station. Recently, the relationship between Musk and Trump has deteriorated, and it is rumored that the SpaceX contract may be cancelled, and the outside world is worried that NASA will be forced to rely on Russia. SpaceX's reusable rocket technology, Starship system, and Starlink satellite communications network are critical to U.S. space strategy. The analysis points out that SpaceX's future market value is expected to exceed $2.5 trillion, and the growth potential is amazing. News highlights: on July 1, the Nationalist Army will carry out a high-level change, with Major General Xie Junchen, Director of the Air Force Command's General Communications Division, promoted to Vice Minister of Communications and promoted to Lieutenant General, and 2 outstanding colonels, Major General Zhong Kungkang and Major General Liu Yutengzhen. The change stemmed from the retirement of Army Lieutenant General Zhang Yuangsuan. Air Force Lieutenant General Liu Jianzhong took over as Chief Inspector General of the Ministry of National Defense, and Lieutenant General Deng Enlian succeeded Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs. Veteran F-16 pilot Zhong Kungkang, known for his superb aerobatics, will take over as Director of the Defense Department's War Intelligence Center. The Air Force's new F-16V BLK-70 fighter will be received next year, and it is expected that the United States will fly directly to the Taitung base after refueling in the air via Hawaii and Guam. News highlights: due to the unclear tariff and excise tax policies, about 30,000 imported vehicles are backlogged in Taipei Port, Taichung Port, and Keelung Port, resulting in sluggish car buying in the auto market, and the number of new car licenses in April and May fell sharply compared with the same period last year. With the Ministry of Economic Affairs announcing that the tariffs will be limited to U.S. imports, and the tariffs on non-U.S. imports will remain the status quo, the excise tax reduction will be suspended, and the policy will gradually become clear. According to car dealers, July will be the most fierce promotional battle in history. Consumers will be able to enjoy significant discounts. July is the best time to change or buy a car, and it is expected that promotional offers will be overwhelming and bring surprises. News highlights: the United States launched the Midnight Hammer operation on the 22nd, dropping 1430,000-pound GBU-57 giant ground-penetrating bombs for the first time, severely damaging 3 nuclear facilities in Iran's Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. The U.S. military dispatched 7 B-2 bombers to hit the target accurately. U.S. President Donald Trump said that he had completely destroyed key nuclear facilities, and Iran also admitted that the facilities were damaged. The Pentagon's released video shows that the bomb can explode deep underground, causing significant damage. News highlights: mainland actress Nar Nasai became popular for her performance in Feng Shen Part 2, but she was exposed to college entrance examination registration fraud, suspected of college entrance examination immigration and breach of contract, and did not return to Inner Mongolia to take up her post, which caused public opinion and was completely banned by the entertainment industry. Although the new drama Lychee of Chang'an is on the streaming platform, it may still be taken off the shelves. Wu Jing's 550 million yuan film Dart Man has been even more affected, and the box office may fall hard, and other works to be broadcast have also announced a re-evaluation of cooperation. News highlights: Hollywood star Brad Pitt's Los Angeles mansion was recently burglarized while he was out promoting his new film F1. Police said the 3 suspects broke through walls and windows to break through and steal unidentified items. The case occurred in the high-end residential area of Los Feliz, and a number of celebrities such as Nicole Kidman, Ziz Eben, and footballer Olivier Giroud have also been targeted by thieves, and the police suspect that they are related to the South American theft syndicate and are actively investigating. News highlights: veteran artist Liao Jun suffered a stroke 3 times in April this year, and his condition was seriously admitted to the intensive care unit for a time, and he has now returned home to recuperate. Recently, it was reported that his brokerage company had received a number of letters from the manufacturer, mistakenly believing that he had recovered his health and requesting to perform the contract, claiming nearly 5 million yuan. The agent reluctantly said that he learned more about Liao Jun's current situation from the news, emphasizing that he still has the enthusiasm to return to the stage and is actively rehabilitating, and the time of resumption of work is still unknown. News highlights: Japanese actress Nozomi Sasaki recently admitted on the show that she has not forgiven her husband Watanabe Ken's cheating scandal in 2020, emphasizing that it is absolutely his fault, and revealed that she had considered divorce and is still under observation. Although the two later welcomed their second child and did not officially separate, the outside world was puzzled and reluctant that she did not choose to divorce. The incident shocked the whole of Japan because of the cheating of accessible public toilets, and it is still the focus of discussion today. News highlights: Goddess of National Light Sunning, Lala, recently revealed that when she learned that her ex-husband had passed away when she did the household registration book for her daughter last year, she cried sadly for 2 days, and frankly put aside her grievances early, thanking him for being very good to her. Her ex-husband's identity was also exposed, as a former mid-career Law New Bears pitcher Wu Siyu, who had a record of 17 wins, but was banned for life for gambling, and his playing career ended early. The daughter has no impression of her father, and comforts her mother not to be too sad. News highlights: Walai Lottery 34 consecutive leverage is finally opened. By the Taichung West District Futures Lottery Bank, one person won the jackpot of 1.73 billion yuan, but also because of the second district package, an additional 7 notes of the second prize, a total of 15 million yuan, the total prize money is as high as 1.753 billion yuan. Taiwan Lottery confirmed that the winner only spent 800 yuan to win the lottery with a rare buying method, which attracted attention. In February this year, someone also won the 2 billion yuan grand prize with a package strategy, and even the general manager of Taiwan Lottery exclaimed that he had never seen this way of buying. News highlights: the strong appreciation of the Taiwan dollar hit the life insurance and machinery industries hard, and the life insurance industry lost 106.6 billion yuan in a single month in May, setting the worst record in history, and the foreign exchange loss almost exhausted foreign exchange reserves. The machinery industry is even more worried about triggering a wave of closures. The Machinery Association and the industry have criticized the government for ignoring the voice of enterprises, warning that if the exchange rate rises to $28, there may be a wave of layoffs. Experts pointed out that a stronger Taiwan dollar than Japan and South Korea will seriously weaken its export competitiveness and cause Taiwan to lose global market share and employment opportunities. News highlights: affected by the uncertainty of tariff and excise tax policies, Taiwan's imported cars exploded in Hong Kong, and as many as 30,000 vehicles were backlogged in bonded warehouses. With the gradual clarity of the policy, car dealers have announced that they will launch the most fierce promotional war in history in July, targeting consumers and dealers with discounts across the board. U.S. cars maintain high tariffs, while non-U.S. cars such as Japan and Germany have not cut tariffs, turning the market wait-and-see into a flashpoint, making it the best time for consumers to pick up bargains. The car dealer admits frankly, in uncertain moments, there are unexpected surprises. News highlights: diabetes is one of the top 10 causes of death in Taiwan, affecting more than 2 million people. Macrobiologist Hong Jiande suggested that diabetic patients should eat cold white rice, because cold rice contains resistant starch, which can help suppress blood sugar spikes and promote intestinal health. It is recommended to eat protein, such as fish, meat, eggs and so on, and wait for 15 minutes before eating, which can slow down blood sugar fluctuations. Dr. Eng emphasizes that eating less high glycemic foods and thickening foods, exercising more and avoiding sleeping late can help control blood sugar. Clinical cases have shown that by adjusting diet and lifestyle habits, patients can significantly improve glycosylated hemoglobin and even reduce drug use. News highlights: Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khomeini spoke publicly for the first time on the 26th, denying that U.S. President Trump claimed that Iran's nuclear facilities had been completely destroyed, emphasizing that the U.S. attack did not cause significant damage, and said that Iran's attack on U.S. military bases was a slap in the face and would launch another attack if necessary. Khomeini refuted Trump's call for Iran's surrender as insulting. The effect of U.S. airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities has sparked controversy, with the CIA saying that destroying the nuclear facilities would take years to rebuild, but the Defense Intelligence Agency believes that it will only be delayed by a few months. The U.S. military's top brass has highlighted the operation as a historic success, with Trump backing up the claim and denying reports that the enriched uranium had been removed early. News highlights prostate cancer is often overlooked because it has no obvious symptoms in the early stage, and it is easy to be detected at an advanced stage, so the risk is very high. A 58-year-old man surnamed Wang was diagnosed with stage 2 prostate cancer and successfully underwent Da Vinci surgery due to his family medical history, and recovered well after surgery. Urologist Zheng Wengzhen pointed out that prostate cancer in Taiwan is the 5th most common cancer in men, and its early symptoms are often confused with aging or prostate enlargement. The Prostate Health Index test is highly accurate, which helps distinguish benign from cancer, reducing invasive tests and side effects. People over 50 years old or with a family history are urged to have regular check-ups for early detection and treatment. News highlights a 25-year-old woman surnamed Feng in Taichung City was walking her dog across the road in the early morning of the 11th, and was hit by a left-turning vehicle driven by a 57-year-old woman surnamed Wu at the zebra crossing in Zaitun district. Wu Nu did not drink and drive, saying that she turned left with the locomotive in front of her at that time and did not know how to hit it. Feng's mother posted a message of thanks on Facebook, saying that her daughter had passed away with Mizu. Police appealed to drivers passing through pedestrian crossings to yield and slow down to avoid tragedy. News highlights He Long and Albi, Fan Yifei, were terminated by Sadal after traveling together in Osaka, and the reason is suspected to be related to emotional problems, but according to the Mirror Weekly report, the He Long night show that He Long took over was discriminated against and disability, and the second season lacked sponsorship and guest support, and the show did not perform as expected, and it was revealed that it lost 5 million in the first season. The emotional turmoil was only the last straw that crushed He Long, so Satil decided to cut it and cut off his tail to survive. News highlights Taiwan Railway has recently expressly prohibited snakes, beasts, and other animals that may endanger others from taking trains, and violators can be fined 1,500 to 7,500 yuan in accordance with the railway law, and the circumstances may also violate the social order maintenance law. Pets such as cats, dogs, rabbits, etc., must be packed in a well-packed cage and placed under the seat. Assistance dogs such as guide dogs are excluded. This rule has sparked a backlash from some people, questioning discrimination and obsolescence. Taiwan Railway calls on passengers to abide by the regulations and ensure the safety and rights of passengers. News highlights some people say that a woman with a good fortune either marries into a wealthy family or becomes a wealthy family herself, but in fact, many people are born with a bumpy fate and do not do anything well. Physiognomy points out that the common characteristics of hard-working women include a low and narrow forehead, which represents poor luck in the early years and a lack of noble help, sparse eyebrows, symbolizing a lack of affection and support, lack of self-confidence and emotional turmoil in the eyes, a low and flat nose bridge means poor financial luck and health problems, the corners of the mouth droop, suggesting that life is frustrating and emotionally susceptible. These facial features often make it difficult for them to escape a difficult fate. News highlights recently, Taiwan Railway reminded passengers not to carry snakes, beasts, or animals that may endanger others on the train, and violators can be fined 1,500 to 7,500 yuan according to the railway law, and even violate the social order maintenance law if the circumstances are serious. In addition, pets such as dogs and cats must be packed in a container of the specified size and odorless and placed under the seat. Guide dogs, assistance dogs, etc. are legal. This regulation has sparked a backlash from some people, questioning that snakes are not beasts of prey, and that the norms are outdated. Taiwan Railway emphasizes compliance with regulations to ensure safety and order. News highlights former President Ma Ying-jeou led a delegation to China from June 14 to 27 to participate in the Straits Forum and inspect the Hexi Corridor. On the 26th, he took off the script at the Dunhuang Academy event to advocate peaceful and democratic reunification, emphasizing respect for the will of the Taiwan people, which aroused applause from the audience. However, Song Tao, director of the Taiwan Affairs Office of the State Council, responded by adhering to the One China principle, stressing that Taiwan's future should be jointly decided by the Chinese on both sides of the strait, and opposing Taiwan independence. Ma Ying-jeou explained that he was a bit off script, and the Ma Ying-jeou Foundation believes that his remarks are in line with relevant regulations, and the incident has aroused the attention of different positions on both sides of the strait. News highlights the recall entered the three-stage countdown, and the vote was less than a month old, and the two sides attacked and defended fiercely. Former President Chen Shui-bian publicly expressed his support for the great success of the general recall on the evening of the 26th, criticizing the KMT's anti-strike video for taking it out of context and misusing what he said when he was ousted 4 times in the past. When is the time for the unjust recall to imply his position? He retorted that the Kuomintang had only been ousted once, what is it called? He also said that China Common Passers-by was the Kuomintang's label for Taiwan independence advocates back then. Chen Shui-bian supported the recall as early as the beginning of this year, and his attitude has changed markedly, expressing his dissatisfaction with the recent actions of Blue and White. News highlights recently, it has gone viral on the internet that there will be a dance of two stations next week, but the latest weather forecast has corrected this statement. Although there are signs of development in the Philippine waters, with a maximum probability of 40%, the probability of a tropical disturbance in the Philippine waters will move away from Taiwan in a northeasterly direction, and the probability of becoming a light Taiwan will decrease. Meteorological expert Zheng Mingdian pointed out that there is a high-level cold front and low pressure over Taiwan, and the weather will be hot and unstable in the next few days, and lightning strikes, strong winds, and instantaneous rain may occur in the afternoon. The Central Weather Bureau issued a special report on high temperature in Tainan, Kaohsiung, Pingtung, and Hualien, reminding the public to pay attention to sun protection and prevent severe weather. News highlights: in 2017, a Twitter serial murder case occurred in Zama City, Kanagawa, Japan, where 26-year-old murderer Takahiro Shiraishi used social platforms to lure 9 men and women to his apartment, strangled them with alcohol and sleeping pills, and dismembered their bodies. The case shocked society, and Shiraishi was sentenced to death in the first instance in 2020, but later withdrew his appeal and the verdict was confirmed. This morning, 27th, Shiraishi was executed in the Tokyo Detention Center, the first execution in Japan in the past 3 years, and the first execution after the Ishiba cabinet took office, causing widespread concern in the society. News highlights: Chinese internet celebrity Xiao Yi was deported to Chinese mainland after her residence permit for dependents was revoked because she stepped on China's red line. After returning to China, she mainly shared her rural life, and occasionally expressed regret that she could not go to Taiwan, but recently, Xiao Yi's attitude changed sharply, and she angrily accused herself of the encroachment of compensation and damage to her rights and interests in Xingkang village, reservoir in Tongren City, Guizhou, and even directly named the local village secretary for inaction, angrily reprimanding the relevant units for not responding. After this exciting complaint video was exposed on Douyin, many netizens questioned that she was trying to attract traffic to change the track to fight corruption, and some warned her that she might break the law, and even appeared fast in comments, reflecting that her behavior caused controversy and warnings in the Chinese community. News highlights: curator Chen Haihan and unification media person Huang Xixian recently exchanged fire. The curator criticized Huang Xixian for fake unification and true independence, questioning her for helping the DPP dismantle the opposition camp and not being worthy of Chinese traffic and money. He admits that he wants to make Chinese money, but does not agree with her approach. Huang Xixian counterattacked, pointing out that the curator was a political chameleon, vacillating his stance and changing the rudder in the face of the wind, and emphasized that he had a firm position, criticizing the curator for being immoral and full of swearing, and the two sides used fierce words, highlighting the sensitivity and antagonism of the issue of Taiwan's reunification and independence. News highlights: Japanese manga artist Natsuki Yoshi predicted a major earthquake and tsunami in Japan on July 5, 2025, causing panic. Less than 10 days before the prophecy date, Kanazawa City Hotel revealed that all reservations made by Taiwanese groups from July 2 to 5 were cancelled, causing an impact on the tourism industry. Nagarjuna had accurately predicted the 311 earthquake and the new crown epidemic, but he stressed that the predicted date does not mean that disasters will occur, and called on the public to raise awareness of disaster prevention and not to panic excessively. The recent frequent earthquakes off the coast of Kagoshima, Japan, have also prompted the Meteorological Bureau to remind them to stay vigilant. News highlights: in order to meet the increasing number of cruise tourists, Keelung City has launched the first double-decker sightseeing bus, which combines sea views and city tours, and is expected to be put into trial operation in September. The 12.2-meter-long red and white bus is equipped with 28 seats and 1 barrier-free seat, and is equipped with professional tour guides, creating a friendly, comfortable, and low-carbon travel experience. Keelung Mayor Xiequiliang and Culture and Tourism Bureau Chong Tingmei are optimistic about this innovative service and look forward to attracting more international tourists and allowing Keelung to meet the world trend with a new look. News highlights: retired Captain Xiao Weiqiang was sentenced to 12 years and 6 months in prison for the conspiracy case, and will serve his sentence after being convicted in November 2023. Since 2002, Xiao has been a mainland development organization, successfully recruiting Army Colonel Xiang Din and former military news major Kong Fanjia. Xiang Din even signed an oath to support cross-strait reunification and was supported by the mainland. Xiao also violated the Banking Act by being involved in underground exchange of nearly $90 million. In April 2024, he was released on medical parole due to complications of malignant tumors and died on June 9. Kong Fanjia was also sentenced to 5 years and 4 months in prison a few days ago. The court pointed out that Xiao's crime lasted for 20 years, harming national security and military morale, and the evidence of the crime was conclusive, and the whole case was convicted. News highlights: from July 1, 2025 to December 31, 2027, Chinese mainland will waive the 1,500 yuan certificate fee for Taiwanese first-time people to apply for Taiwan compatriot permits. As of the evening of the 26th, a total of 5,800 people participated, and the results showed that 76% of netizens thought the offer was attractive, 19% thought it was none, and 5% said they didn't know. Netizens left messages in support of cross-strait exchanges, looking forward to more interaction and tourism opportunities, and some even praised the positive impact of the curator effect. News highlights: the U.S. Treasury Department announced an agreement with the G7 to remove the retaliatory tax provision of Section 899 of Trump's Great American Act in exchange for other countries not imposing some taxes on U.S. companies. This provision originally allowed the United States to impose a tax of up to 20% on investors from countries that impose unfair taxes on American companies, and was intended to counter the global minimum tax rate plan promoted by some countries. U.S. Treasury Secretary Bicent said that the OECD global minimum tax rate rule will not apply to U.S. companies, and has asked Congress to remove Section 899. The move was welcomed by the business community to mitigate the risks of foreign investment in the United States, but the market is still waiting to see whether the provisions will eventually become law. News highlights: Keelung, Taipei, New Taipei, and Darwin form a common living circle due to convenient transportation, attracting many young house buyers to buy houses in New Taipei, Darwin, and Keelung, where housing prices are lower. According to Yongqing real estate statistics, Darwin Zhongli district has become the champion of housing hotspots for young people aged 25 to 35 with 2,304 households, and Darwin district and Xinbei Bangqiao district are ranked second and third. Darwin's housing prices are relatively affordable compared to Shuangbei, and Zongli's transportation is diversified and convenient, attracting commuters. Darwin district has improved rezoning and employment opportunities. New Taipei Bangqiao is an administrative and transportation hub, with multiple options. Housing prices in Tomsui district are relatively affordable, and transportation construction has continued to improve in recent years, making it more attractive in the future. News highlights: White House spokesman Leavitt said Trump's original deadline of July 8 or 9 to reinstate reciprocal tariffs was not critical and could be postponed at the discretion of the president. Trump's proposed reciprocal tariffs cover imports from most countries, but the implementation date has been postponed several times to facilitate negotiations. White House economic advisor Miron also expects a further extension, and a sudden increase in tariff rates is unlikely. Treasury Secretary Bessent and U.S. National Economic Council Chairman Hassett have both hinted that multinational talks are close to reaching a deal. Trump plans to sign the tax cuts and spending bill by July 4 and announce the outcome of the trade deal. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump's imposition of global reciprocal tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act in April 2025 has sparked legal controversy and international tensions. A federal court ruled the measure unconstitutional, and the White House has appealed. The Trump administration has a number of tariff tools, including provisions that can be imposed by direct executive order and subject to investigation and approval, which may be superimposed in the future to strengthen the bargaining chips. This policy expands the power of the president and exacerbates global trade risks, and Taiwan must pay close attention to it and plan for response in advance to avoid falling into a passive situation. News highlights: although the Taiwan authorities have repeatedly pushed back housing policies such as loan restrictions and heavy taxes, housing prices have continued to rise because they only suppress demand and ignore supply-side structural problems. Experts suggest that urban renewal should be taken as the core strategy: simplify deliberation, strengthen integration, unleash land potential, and improve supply and stabilize the market. Drawing on Singapore's experience in stabilizing housing prices through public housing, Taiwan needs to pay attention to supply-side reform to avoid continuing to fall into the dilemma of rising prices. News highlights: Lin Rongjian, president of Shen Pharmaceutical Co., Limited, was searched for insider trading, and Yangzhen Biopharma announced that it had signed an asset sales contract of about 500 million yuan with the world's top 100 pharmaceutical companies to stimulate the stock price. Lin Rongjian, his relatives and friends, and the directors of Yangzhen legal person were involved in using information to illegally buy shares and make hundreds of thousands of yuan, and even the former deputy director of the Department of Health, Zhang Hongren, was also involved. After the prosecution's interrogation, Lin Rongjian paid 1 million yuan on bail, Zhang Hongren paid 500,000 yuan on bail, Chen Peijun, general manager of Yangzhen, paid 1 million yuan on bail, and other relatives and friends involved in the case paid 10 to 500,000 yuan respectively. Mr. Chung was the general manager of the Health Insurance Bureau and the deputy director general of the Department of Health, before becoming the chairman of the Scholar and Biotech Company. News highlights: U.S. President Trump announced a trade deal with China on the 25th, which mainly involves China's accelerated export of key raw materials such as rare earth minerals, but the specific details have not been disclosed. The agreement is aimed at easing tensions between the two sides over rare earth export restrictions, and the U.S. will lift countermeasures on China-related goods, provided that China lifts non-tariff restrictions that began in April. The agreement, which is still subject to the signature of Trump and Xi Jinping, marks the beginning of the implementation phase of the initial framework agreed upon by the two sides in Geneva. News highlights: in the 2023 throat-cutting case of a middle school in Dujin, New Taipei City, the defendant juvenile surnamed Guo was tried for 9 years, and the girl surnamed Lin was sentenced to 8 years. The victim's family bitterly criticized the punishment as too light, pointing out that the murderer's knife wounds were deep to the heart and lungs, but they did not admit guilt, only feeling that the sentence was too severe. Family members are worried that juvenile murderers can apply for parole after 3 years, and they are afraid of returning to school after being released from prison, causing panic on campus. The family stressed that the government failed to ensure fairness and justice, feared possible retaliation after parole, and criticized the parents for not apologizing. News highlights on the 24th, the female head of the heavy machinery in Qianhan was hit by an illegal left-turn SUV, and the female head of the heavy machinery fell heavily and was sent to the intensive care unit for rescue. His daughter released the 4-second dashcam footage to restore the situation at the time. The mother's vision was blocked when she approached the intersection at a yellow light, and she found that the oncoming vehicle did not slow down, and tried to dodge but was still hit. After seeing the video, netizens prayed for the female leader, praised her as a professional knight, and looked forward to her speedy recovery. News highlights the recall of Kuomintang legislator Wang Hongwei was fierce, and the recall group actively visited the dark blue constituency, especially targeting the streets of the Kopu market in North Songshan, Wang's natal district, in an attempt to flip the election. The two sides frequently clashed in the market, and Wang Hongwei also appeared in person many times to shorten the distance with the people. The strike group emphasized that it had its own propaganda rhythm and continued to attract supporters. Wang Hongwei said that the boycott was closely watching the action, but she responded with a normal heart, emphasizing that the election is an offensive and defensive war, and the two sides will fight land and air battles together to win the approval of voters. News highlights on the 26th, the US military released a test video of the GBU-57 giant ground-penetrating bomb, emphasizing that the enriched uranium was not moved during the bombing of Iran's nuclear facilities, showing great power. The Pentagon denied that the airstrikes were ineffective and refuted media doubts. President Donald Trump criticized the reports as fake news and accused leakers. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khomeini counterattacked for the first time, saying that the impact of US airstrikes on Iran would be limited, and warning that the United States would pay a price if it used force again. Iranian Foreign Minister Arakchi denied resuming talks with the United States, stressing that there was no agreement between the two sides, but hinting that the damage to the nuclear facilities was not small. According to sources, the Trump administration plans to use economic incentives to push Iran back to the negotiating table. News highlights a motorcycle accident occurred in Manso Township, Hengchun, Pingtung on the 26th, and the rider accidentally fell down in order to avoid the Taiwanese macaque that suddenly came out, causing multiple abrasions and contusions, and his friend was also injured and sent to the hospital. Because the perpetrator was a wild animal, the knight could not claim compensation. The increase in the number of macaques in the local area has become a traffic concern for the frequent presence in villages and roads. Police urge drivers to slow down and stay vigilant when entering the area to avoid similar accidents from happening again. News highlights the epidemic has slowed down and overseas travel has returned to normal, but baggage loss, delay, or damage still plagues transit passengers. Ground support blogger Kemi and Lear reminds that in case of such a situation, you should immediately report to the airline of the last flight, and keep the baggage tag, receipt, and boarding pass to protect the rights and interests of compensation. According to the 1999 Montreal Convention, the carrier is responsible for handling the baggage problem in the end, and passengers should not delay the processing after returning to their home country, so as not to affect the claim. She also pointed out that the process in Europe and the United States is relatively loose, and travelers often have to pay more attention because they don't know who to turn to for help. News highlights today, 27th, it is hot in various places, and Tainan, Kaohsiung, Pingtung, and Hualien may have a high temperature of 36 degrees in a row, and the temperature even exceeds 40 degrees. Meteorological expert Lindeen pointed out that the perceived temperature is not simply the temperature, but is calculated by combining 5 factors: air temperature, relative humidity, wind speed, radiant heat, sunshine, clothing, and activity. High humidity reduces sweat evaporation and makes people feel more stuffy. High wind speed helps to dissipate heat. Strong sunlight increases the sensation of heat. Lindeen added that in summer, the heat index is commonly used to measure the perceived temperature. For example, when the humidity is 32 degrees and 70%, the perceived temperature can reach 38 degrees, indicating that the heat dissipation effect of the human body has deteriorated. News highlights mainland internet celebrity Xiaomi Yuya died of ovarian cancer at the age of 40, which caused heated discussions. She was found to have a 4 cm tumor in her left ovary during a health checkup, but because she was worried about the cost of surgery and did not want to trouble her family, she delayed treatment for more than 10 years until she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer last year. She chose to be treated at a local hospital and returned to work after 4 rounds of chemotherapy, but her cancer recurred and her condition worsened, and she finally passed away in the early hours of June 23. Doctors point out that it is rare for benign ovarian tumors to turn malignant, but certain types such as chocolate cysts and teratomas are at risk of cancer, reminding women to have regular check-ups and early treatment. News highlights cancer, heart disease, pneumonia, stroke, diabetes, and other serious diseases are closely related to wrong eating habits. The average daily salt intake of Taiwanese adults is as high as 9 to 10 grams, which is more than twice the recommended amount, and more than 95% of fruits and vegetables are inadequate, causing chronic health damage. Dietitian Xue Xiaojing suggested that reducing salt intake to less than 5 grams per day can effectively reduce the risk of hypertension and cardiovascular disease. Increasing dietary fiber can reduce the risk of stroke and diabetes. A preventive diet includes eating more dark leafy vegetables and fruits, replacing refined white rice with whole grains, and supplementing with omega-3 with deep-sea fish 2 to 3 times a week. News highlights the tragic industrial safety accident occurred at the Taichung thermal power plant. A 33-year-old worker surnamed Yang accidentally fell from a steel beam about 7 to 8 meters high while carrying out steel structure assembly operations. Taipower stressed that the workers were wearing safety helmets and hooking safety mother cables at that time, but the accident showed that the protective measures were still insufficient, and Taipower said that it would deeply review and strengthen the safety management of industrial safety management and safety education and training of contractors, and strive to prevent similar accidents from happening again. The accident did not affect the operation of the unit and the power supply. News highlights, however, the Animal and Plant Epidemic Prevention and Quarantine Administration reminds that instant noodles containing meat ingredients such as ham sausages, meat cubes and other ingredients are prohibited from being brought into the country to prevent the introduction of African swine fever and other diseases, and violators can be fined up to $1 million. Meat-free instant noodles and rice noodles can generally be cleared, but seasoning packets may contain meat extracts that are difficult to identify. It is recommended that if passengers are unsure of the ingredients, the airport quarantine counter can assist in confirming and actively cooperate to avoid fines to ensure epidemic prevention safety. News highlights: if China blockades Taiwan, it may affect the global supply of semiconductors, and Taipower Chairman Zheng Wenzheng said that relevant power rationing simulations will be carried out at the beginning of the epidemic, giving priority to power rationing for non-livelihood industries, and will retain coal-fired units, coal storage facilities and maintain the operation of nuclear power units to ensure stable power supply. He stressed that nuclear energy safety is the top priority, and it is more difficult for nuclear power units 1 to maintain the second and third nuclear power units. In the face of geopolitical risks, Taipower continues to make preparations, including natural gas stock management and storage tank expansion, to ensure the continuous supply chain of energy, and work with allies to seek solutions to stabilize the chip industry. News highlights: when Vice President Xiao Maikin visited the Czech Republic in March last year, the convoy was followed by military diplomats from the Chinese embassy in Prague and caused a car accident. Spokesperson of the Presidential Office Guo Yaoi strongly condemned China's actions and thanked the Czech Republic for its security protection of Vice President Xiao. The incident highlights China's stalking and intimidation of Taiwanese officials, not only in Taiwan, but also overseas, and has attracted international attention. Czech Senate President Fica criticized the move as inappropriate, arguing that such behavior goes beyond international norms. News highlights: the first wave of voting for the general recall will appear on July 26, and the Kuomintang will fight back with all its might, and Legislative President Han Kuo-yu will launch a platform assist, and go to Dawen on the 27th to stand on the platform for legislators Wan Meiling and Liu Yuling. Kuomintang legislator Wang Hongui believes that this is Han Kuo-yu's defense of the president, and if the Blue Camp seat is dismissed, the DPP will push KG Unming to take over as president. The Blue Committee News Yuding called the recall a conspiracy to usurp the throne by Lau Kei, criticized the DPP for holding 4.5 powers, and called on voters to vote disagree on July 26 to protect Taiwan's democracy. Han Kuo-yu will continue to attend a number of anti-recall events and fight to retain the KMT seat. News highlights: in recent years, the age of onset of colorectal cancer has decreased, and the number of new cases in 2022 increased by 1,405 compared to 2021, making it the second highest cancer in China. Doctors pointed out that it is related to a high-calorie and low-fiber diet, obesity, and intestinal flora imbalance. Young people with inconspicuous symptoms are likely to miss the opportunity for early diagnosis, and it is recommended to lower the age of screening. Experts call for eating more high-fiber fruits and vegetables, choosing healthy proteins, quitting smoking and limiting alcohol, and regular fecal occult blood tests. Young people should be vigilant and take the initiative to screen for colorectal cancer. News highlights: Dora, Xiao Weiwei, a member of the Lottie Girls of Chinese professional baseball, continued to be hidden due to her involvement in the controversy of the wealthy businessman Ziosin, and all the support classes were emptied in July. It is reported that the club asked her to issue a self-clearance statement, but the version she provided was far from the club's expectations, and she emphasized that she had a non-monetary relationship with wealthy businessmen, which made it difficult for the club to accept. Although she tested the waters in the community, the club had no intention of letting her return until the official announcement. Dora has also signed a confidential closing letter, and the future is still under scrutiny. News highlights: the 35-year-old Chinese actress Nar Nakian was involved in the college entrance examination data fraud storm and was officially banned, and her starring new drama Lychee of Chang'an was urgently withdrawn, and all promotional content was taken off the shelves, and the audience was worried that the drama may be completely removed. She was involved in college entrance examination immigration and breach of contract training, and CCTV has deleted her name. The other 5 works, such as Dartman and Feng Shen 3, have also been affected, and the film is under pressure to re-edit. The entertainment industry has strict requirements for the conduct of artists, and the incident has aroused widespread attention from fans and the industry. News highlights: senior artist Liao Jun suffered a stroke for the 3rd time in April this year and was admitted to the intensive care unit, although he has recently been discharged from the hospital and returned home to recuperate, but because his son uploaded a recent photo in the community, some manufacturers misunderstood his recovery, and sent 4 letters to the brokerage company, demanding the performance of the contract, with a claim amount of nearly 5 million yuan. The agent, Zhang Xiao, said that he felt helpless about this, and revealed that he only learned the news of his discharge from the hospital through the news. Although Liao Jun is still enthusiastic about his work, his current health is still unstable, and his comeback schedule is uncertain. News highlights: comedian He Long was suspected of having an ambiguous interaction with his hosting partner Albi during his relationship with his late ex-girlfriend, and was terminated by his agency Sauter. Despite Albi's denial of overlapping feelings, the timeline still raises questions. Internet celebrity Texas Mom Didn't Break Up analyzed past posts, pointed out that Albi's ambiguous words and deeds were obvious, believed that she should be responsible for the incident, and criticized her statement for being too rash, and the incident continued to burn. News highlights: Xie Jinyan recently shared a photo with the idol GD, Chuan's Hailong, doll on the community, dressing easily and funny, imitating the idol's movements, showing the mood of fans. What is surprising is that GD actually liked the post in person, making her excited to take a screenshot and share it and say crazy, calling the idol really distressed fans. She revealed that she waited a long time to receive this doll, and also purchased a daisy hand lamp and a potted plant base to show the strength of iron fans. News highlights: Zhang Binai, who played the role of fierce sister Luo Shifen in the big love drama Come to See You in the Mountains on Holidays, and spent nearly 500,000 yuan to build a yoga teaching website, hoping to operate successfully within a year. She also revealed that she had agreed to propose to her boyfriend who settled in the United States, and she expected to register her marriage in July and August if she was free. The two have been dating for 4 years and have only met once, and they all rely on video to maintain their relationship. During the filming, she returned to Huadong for 3 months to film, which made her full of emotion about the tribe and nature, and she also ventured to drive back to Taipei alone on the night of the typhoon. News highlights: the United States launched the Midnight Hammer operation on the 22nd, dropping 1430,000 pound GBU-57 giant ground-penetrating bombs for the first time, severely damaging 3 nuclear facilities in Iran's Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. The U.S. military dispatched 7 B-2 bombers to hit the target accurately. U.S. President Donald Trump said that he had completely destroyed key nuclear facilities, and Iran also admitted that the facilities were damaged. The Pentagon's released video shows that the bomb can explode deep underground, causing significant damage. News highlights: the Central Election Committee announced that it would hold a vote on the recall of the Blue Committee and the Hsinchu mayor on July 26, and some Blue Bird members went to Gongtian Palace to ask for a sign for success, but they asked for a blasphemy of Sang Guang to sign a poem. Originally, Jade Bird interpreted it as if the general recall is successful, there will be no problem, but the fan specialist Miss Cao Shenglin pointed out that the signature meant to persuade people to change their ways and turn to goodness, and they could not ask for the blessing of the gods in vain, causing netizens to ridicule the ultimatum issued by the gods. A similar situation also happened in the Tiger Ye Temple, where the basket was not allowed, which aroused attention and discussion from all walks of life. News highlights: President Li Qing's impurity theory has sparked controversy, and some school children in Zhonghua have been scolded by their classmates for impurities at school, and parents are worried that it has constituted school bullying. Taipei Mayor Zhang Wanan responded on the 27th that he was sorry if the child was really treated like this, and emphasized that society should be diverse and inclusive. If you are an impurity, Uncle Wanan is also an impurity, and called on the outside world to respect everyone's differences and refuse any form of bullying. News highlights: the Central Election Committee announced that the first wave of recall votes against 24 KMT legislators and Hsinchu Mayor Gao Honggan will be held on July 26. According to the Yahoo poll, 56.1% of the public said that they would vote against the recall, and only 16.1% supported the recall. Among them, 39.4% believe that all recall cases will fail, and none of them will pass. The wave of recalls sparked a confrontation between the government and the opposition, with the People's Party's Huang Qiuaqing calling for a rejection of political infighting, and the Kuomintang asking the central government to respond. The day is a holiday according to the law, and attendees must be paid double wages. News highlights: on June 27, the Labor Insurance Bureau issued 4 subsidies, including Labor Insurance Annuity, Disaster Insurance Annuity, Disaster Insurance Disability Care Subsidy and Labor Retirement Monthly Pension, among which 1.92 million people applied for Labor Insurance Annuity, with an average of about 19,000 yuan per person. The Labor Insurance Bureau reminds that you can be eligible to apply for insurance on the next day after surrendering, and it will be issued from the month after application and credited to the account at the end of the month. In addition, 6 allowances will be paid on June 30, and eligible citizens are advised to check whether they have been credited to their accounts. News highlights the exterior colors of the erasers of Pentel are actually used for different purposes. Dark blue is the standard model, which is harder and has strong cleaning power. The water blue color is easy to wipe type, and it is labor-saving to wipe. Green is super sticky chip type, with less chips and easy to clean. There is also a rare multi-purpose type, which can erase photocopied documents and ballpoint pen handwriting. Netizens shouted, "I don't know the truth until I grow up," and the post set off a wave of childhood memories.